He hasn't really considered a lot of the things he's talking about. He's out of his element. He's out of his depth. Yeah, why am I always right? And your fucking favorite content creator is always wrong then. But anyway, let's watch Theo Vaughn with Stabby Baby.
Scared of, do you think, when they talk about Trump? But what is it? I kind of start to wonder, what do people be scared of?
I can tell you right. I mean, the thing. So for me, you know, I didn't love either candidate here. I really didn't understand being enthusiastic about either candidate. I think, you know, I'm not a Trump guy. Obviously, I think he is dangerous in the things that I'm scared of the most. And the thing that made me lean towards Kamala was, more than anything, was the Supreme Court, and that it would be, if it's put under like far right control for the next however long. We've already seen, you know, women's right to, you know, over their bodies, the abortion, you know, Roe v. Wade's been overturned, which I think is really dangerous. That's going to like really affect women's health care. Already in states that banned it, you see they're getting less just general OBGYN care because it's more dangerous to be a doctor in those states. So we don't think about shit that trickles down. So like, it's harder to get just general health care, let alone abortion, in Texas now for women. And that's only going to get harder in rural states. And I think for me, that was the number one issue. Yeah. That's really scary to me.
Well, especially with the border being open and they're letting rapists in. It's fucking, you know what I'm saying, though? It's like you're just...
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the best time to repeal that.
Yeah. If we're going to follow your logic and you claim they got rapists coming in, maybe we should also keep abortion. But... you know, I think we got plenty of homegrown rapists too, but you know, look,
we've got our own.
Sure.
We got some union guys.
We've got some heirloom American rapists for sure.
Jesus Christ.
But I think that's the number one thing that scares me is about that, because it's not only that's the first step, and I think you can really see stuff that we take for granted as progress. Gay marriage is another thing. There's a really weird cultural. I think this is what happens anytime the party that's backed by the powers that be, big business, the rich people, the richest people in the world want far right politicians. And I think if they
still,
absolutely, without question,
I feel like tech is now. I just feel like the parties
Elon
have
Musk
changed.
is a huge Trump guy.
That's a good point.
I think rich people will support whoever's in power, number one, but they want to transfer wealth from the poor to the rich. They've been really good at doing it. The biggest issue, I think the reason the Democrats lost is because they pretend that there is no problem. I think inflation, a big part of inflation is that companies realize they can just charge.
He's great for normies like you. No, that's like, Stabby does a great job with this shit. I try to do a decent job with this in my normal interactions with people, or when I'm on like somebody else's stream or in mainstream media. Obviously on my own stream, it's a little bit different. And people will inevitably piss me off and then clip my fucking reaction to be like, Hasan is always angry. But like, yeah, this is solid.
Charge you more and say it's somebody else's fault. A lot of it's price gouging. That's true. And
everything gets so much more expensive.
And companies are, some of it is just real inflation, but some of it is companies are hiding behind inflation. And like, Democrats did nothing to stop price gouging, right? They didn't even say they were going to do it. You can't tell people that things are going good when they're just clearly not. The most important issue for people is that things are fucking more, they have no health care. Wage inequality is out of control. People's wages have not kept pace with how much bosses are earning.
Well, yeah. Well, what percent? I mean, Bernie Sanders said greatly that he thought if AI starts to happen for companies, right? So companies are making more money.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't get anything and we keep all the fucking profits. And I do think, I think we talked about it a little bit last time, where it's like AI as a tool to fucking do creative shit. It's so weird when it's like it should be making normal people's lives easier. It shouldn't just be for rich people to be able to charge less. Like there should be some protections for workers, and we should be able to
No disrespect to Stabby, but if you need a comedian to guide you through a thought, maybe you shouldn't talk about politics, talking about Theo. Brother, it doesn't matter. You're speaking to a reality that doesn't exist and avoiding the reality that's in front of you. Whether you like it or not, many Americans are dumb and completely disillusioned with politics and don't like to think about it. And the ones that do like to think about it want an oversimplified explanation. Your conversation with FaZe Banks made me understand the mind of the average guy. The reality of the matter is, like, FaZe Banks or Theo Vaughn, these are both multimillionaires. They're very successful. They're not the average person, but they do think closer to the average person. Their thought process is closer to the average person than the average chatter in here. If you're in here, you're not an average person. You might be a formative member of the working class. You might be an essential worker. You might be a delivery driver. Many of you are. But the reality of the matter is you're a little bit of a freak because you want to not only be educated on politics, but you also have a unique perspective. You have a well-defined ideological framework that you operate off of. Okay? The moment that you recognize class politics or class consciousness in the country is the moment where you have transcended beyond the average Democratic Party operative even, okay? You have transcended beyond understanding politics at a level that is, in my opinion, even more successful and smarter, more intelligent than the average Ivy League college graduate that works in the DNC. Speaking of the DNC and also people that are, working within the Democratic Party's institutions, there's plenty of them in here as well. I know for a fact there's plenty of members of the media in here as well. The problem is there's a lot of you out there. Your voices are simply not heard because those who are in control of the institutions don't give a fuck. They don't want to hear it. But never forget, dumbing down politics is definitely a smart thing to do. A lot of people who think of themselves as like, deep thinkers and intellectuals because they watch some debate streamer comb through pages and pages of Wikipedia to develop talking points to win in a rapid fire argument where you can gish gallop as many talking points as possible. Look to someone like myself and say, Hasan doesn't have any deep thoughts. He's not a serious thinker. He hasn't really considered a lot of the things he's talking about. He's out of his element. He's out of his depth. Yeah, why am I always right? And your fucking favorite content creator is always wrong then. How the fuck does that happen? And it's the same principle behind Alan Lichtman too. It's like, what's going on? Or maybe I'm just trying to simplify some of these more complicated subjects in a way to make it more appealing and easier to consume for the broadest audience possible. I don't try to make you feel smart by, giving you certain talking points, okay? I try to explain stuff to you so you can internalize it on your own and then maybe even go back and do some research on your own as well. I try to push you in the appropriate direction. I want to see Alex O'Connor Hasan conversation. Isn't that guy the British twink with the mustache who really, really likes Richard Dawkins and shit? Is that who that is? He sounds pretty well-read. I can't tell, but I do think that I think his admiration for like a lot of these a lot of these atheists is a little bit weird to me. Joshua Citarella would be a great guest. I've had Josh on the stream many, many years ago, and I've been meaning to try and figure out a way to do his new podcast. I don't know if he likes you, but I don't keep up with him. He probably doesn't. I can still talk to him though. I went to an atheism conference once. They preached about how lobbying was actually good, and I was radicalized down a different path that way. He had brace on. I'd be surprised if no, Josh has asked me to be on the podcast before he even started the podcast. Of course. I know Josh. I've had Josh on this stream many, many years ago. I like Josh a lot. We've just been meaning we've been trying to put it together. Have you ever talked to J-Reg? No.
You should be able to buy a house. All these regular issues that weren't really hit on. It was just, well, you got to vote for us because the other person's worse. And even though I think that is true, that's not a winning message. That's nothing, especially when the other side is offering, they're at least saying shit's bad.
Well, yeah.
And they're saying it's for the...
Are you a theist? I would consider myself an atheist, but I still respect religion and see a need for them. No, I don't give a shit. If people want to believe things that I don't believe in, as long as they're not bothering other people, if they're using that as a moral rudder, I don't have an issue with it. Like I said, the only problem I have is with fundamentalists and people who do not abide by a secular standard. Okay? And I also, on the other side, do not appreciate people who uphold secularism as a way to harm people's religious process. I have time and time again maintained the position that even if I don't agree with something or I don't believe in it, I'm not going to proselytize. I'm not going to turn around and yell at people over what they believe. After all, a bunch of things that I believe, the overwhelming majority of human beings do not. I'll give you one example. Capitalism. Most people think capitalism is dope. People that I love, people that I admire, people that I think are awesome people that I interact with on a daily basis. The overwhelming majority, if not damn near entirety of that group of people believes that capitalism is real. Some people believe meritocracy is real. And for me, that doesn't stop me from having a normal conversation with them. And I think that is the way I operate. That is mostly the way I operate. Can you please just read books? Read while books on stream? The youth need it. Yeah, dude, the youth need me to fucking soft serve them books that I read. This is why I'm the streamer and you're watching. How about you buckle in and let me do my thing, okay?
The wrong reasons. I don't think it's immigrants' fault. It's definitely not fun. Trans people aren't the people buying up houses and not letting you buy it. You know what I mean? Like, but at least they're saying something's wrong and they're saying some dumb shit, in my opinion. They're trying to make it culture war stuff. They're trying to divide people who should be on the same side by saying, oh, gay people are bad, trans people are bad, when it's like the people trying to few are rich people. That's how it's always been. That's a tale as old as time.
Theo wanted a wild take about
Are
Greek
the
people.
Greeks the blacks?
Oh, this was fucking awesome. It was hilarious.
Are some people say that the Greeks are the blacks of Europe?
Who are these people exactly?
Huh? Bring up someone. Bring up. Google. No, people say that all the time. I'm serious, man.
I love that.
Bro. You'd be wandering past an olive shop.
What's your best advice for young lefties, especially in deep red states? Work out. Set goals for yourself. Achieve them. That is the best pathway towards becoming more confident. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.